I'm the muscle. That's the first and they last. So you talked to Craig already? Because one thing I was saying in the back was like, Malmy can sit here. He's gonna sit here. Yeah. So what
I'm
I
gonna be here today, but then tomorrow I'm gonna be there.
but smells good. More than 3 players. Yeah. I don't think anybody's gonna bring more than 3 players.
Well, no. The only day I have to worry about is on Saturday when all the 5 starters are.
Oh, do they? Okay.
And then they do a breakout after.
Oh, that's when they go to the breakouts. That's right. I forgot about that. So what I'm gonna do? Like, who's up first? Guards up first. Yeah. Okay. I'll just put guard out now.
Okay.
Do you want me to put the players? Should I put the players out now? Mike, I'm gonna put him here.
What's that?
I'm gonna put him here. Put a space in between. That way there's not. That way he's not bumping right up against you.
Well, it's gonna be Greg first. Right? You got things.
Yeah, and then the kids.
The kids come up after that.
So it's Hap, Hayes, and King.
So why don't we just keep guard right now, and then I'll just hold both, and then I can come over and
Yeah.
both coach.
You want him right here? Or what?
I'm over here, so he's got.
Oh, well,
So he doesn't have
yeah,
me.
because that's what I was saying.
My
That's
face
what-
is out
That's
of
what I
it.
said to Craig. Was put a little space in between.
Good. How are you? Hey, how you doing, Mike? Good to see you, man. I think we're good right now. I'll be hanging out here. Okay. Great. How are you doing? Welcome. You excited? Fun weekend, right?
That's my guess. This one.
We're ready, man. Okay, we're going to have Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard up here in about three minutes or so. Just a couple of quick announcements before we get started. Just a reminder, there should be no video taken other than Hammond video. Cell phones should be turned off or in airplane mode while we are in here for the press conference. There should be no flash photography. Hopefully the lighting is strong. It feels strong from up here on the dais. Couple quick notes if you are looking to pick up the press information or the press conference feeds. You can actually pick them up at an FTP site this year. A couple different ways. One is by going to ncaaMBB.HammondCG, so HAMMONDCG.com. You will get a prompt to enter a username and a password. Username is NCAAM 2016. All those are lowercase, so NCAAM 2016. Then the password is 2016, capital M, lowercase NCAA Media. So that is one way of picking up the footage of this press conference and throughout the weekend. You can also go to an FTP site. It is ftp3.ftp2yoursite.com. Username, lowercase NCAAM 2016. Password, 2016, capital M, lowercase NCAA Media. Port is 21. If you are pulling it off satellite, measurements, the satellite coordinates SES 3, transponder 4A, downlink frequency is 11766.5 vertical. So again, those will be the same coordinates throughout the weekend. We'll announce those again a couple times today, but those are some ways to get them for footage. So we will wait for Coach Gard. No. Okay, at this time we will welcome University of Wisconsin head coach Greg Gard. I would ask that if you have questions, please raise your hand. We have 2 microphone holders. I would have a microphone brought to you, and then we will, I would ask that you give your name and your media outlet before you ask your question. So where are my microphone holders? Do we have them? Okay, great. So I have one right down here in front to start. Go ahead. Yep, let's come down.
Chris Murray, Philadelphia Sunday Sun. Back during early in the season when you guys were 9-9 and 1-4 in the conference, what one thing changed that you saw in your team outside of Nigel Hayes coming out and challenging his team? But what on the court and also from an emotional standpoint did you see in your team after that?
Well, the biggest thing was the chemistry in the locker room, and that grew immensely during that time from late December through the first part of February. I think with losing so many guys from last year, with 4 seniors, 2 of them being fifth-year guys that have been in the program for a long time, and then Sam Decker leaving early, we just had a lot of shoes to fill and a lot of roles to establish yet, and it took us a while to grow through that. And I think all those adverse moments we went through early in the year helped fortify and establish our identity and roles of everybody on the team, and it just took a little while for that. But the biggest thing is the locker room, how that's grown and come together, the chemistry that's evolved there, and that eventually started to show itself on the floor.
We'll stay here in the second row with Dana.
Dana O'Neill at the ESPN. Greg, the emotional roller coaster that you've been on this year, this whole process, have you been allowed yourself a few minutes to look back and breathe and appreciate everything? I mean, and kind of where's your head right now with all of this?
I haven't really, Dana. You know, there's been so much that's encompassed the past year, really going back to, the Final Four last year and that whole run into the spring with my dad and that whole journey with him with cancer, and then obviously everything that played out in December with Coach Ryan retiring, and it's really been a whirlwind. You know, someday maybe it'll be in my book, but it's been surreal. Everything has happened so fast, and there's been so many events that have, it's been the worst year of my life and it's been the best year of my life rolled into one. Hopefully we got a couple more weeks left in us here and weekends. Then at that point in time, maybe in May, I'll be able to sit back and really reflect on it. But fortunately, these guys have kept me busy, so I don't have to worry about looking in the rearview mirror right yet.
Okay, in the back there, go ahead.
Michael Luongo, AP Broadcast. We talk about Notre Dame and talk about the matchup there and what stands out about them and your biggest challenge facing them.
Well, obviously, Mike's got a great team. It seems like every year nobody talks about Notre Dame in the Selection Sunday or that first week, but you get to the second weekend, there they are. I think he's done a tremendous job of really identifying the type of student athlete he needs at Notre Dame to fit to his system. And much like us, the names change, the numbers change, but the production in terms of what they do on the floor together and how they grow together, their ability to develop players, I think doesn't change. And I think there's a lot of similarities between the two programs. Obviously, they've had stars over the years with Herringody and Murphy, and now they got Demetrius Jackson, the guys they had last year, and we've had our share over the years too. But I think just the consistency has been the biggest thing that I've admired from afar. And Mike's been terrific. Every time I've run into him, I haven't seen him yet this weekend, but he's actually going to be our speaker, our keynote speaker at our Coaches versus Cancer Gala in May, that we raise a lot of money for the American Cancer Society for. But I think just that, how he's done it year in and year out. The matchup obviously starts with whenever you have a really good point guard, you always have a chance, and they have a terrific one in Demetrius Jackson. And then the other guys, how August has evolved through the year, how Beecham is shooting the ball right now, what Vastoria does for him. So you can go through the lineup. Much like us, they've had different guys contribute and help them in different roles throughout the season and help them grow. So for us, we know we'll have to be very good. And obviously, this time of year, as I mentioned last weekend, the average and poor teams are on spring break or their coaches are playing golf or recruiting. And we're fortunate that we're still playing and hopefully have, like I said, a couple more weekends left in us.
All right, we got in row 4, John. Go ahead.
John Small with Philadelphia Daily News. Coach, I'm sure the team was prepared for Coach Ryan to leave at the end of the season because he announced a retirement. But how do you game plan for what happened, and what was the first thing you thought that you had to do to pull this thing together when Coach retired?
Yeah, I think the first thing I thought is I had to go back to what I believed in and what my instincts were, and I felt we needed to tweak some things offensively a little bit. We went back to an old friend in the swing offense, and it really helped us, not so much from the swing per se, but the spacing and the movement away from the ball was something that we needed to get better at. Part of it was the youth that we had. We didn't have a group that had played a lot of basketball together. We had a lot of growing to do, so that was part of the challenge. But I think I just, they always say, do what you know what you do. So I really trusted on the last 23 years of experience with Bo, and went back to what I really believed in and kept it simple and really stayed in I talked a lot about our team about the process and not worrying about the results, not worrying about the scoreboard, and I got that from Nick Saban in several of his books that I've read, but not worrying about what was going to happen next week or next month. Just focus on our practice today. And we had to change some practice habits. We had to develop some practice habits. And I think that's where it started. It was really drill by drill, possession by possession in practice, and eventually that started to form better habits in the game. And even when we started 1-4 and 9-9, I saw good things happening. I saw a lot of things happening very positively in practice. Everybody focused on the last 18 seconds against Maryland when Melo Trimble hit the 25-footer against us, or the 2 threes that Purdue hit in the last minute to beat us, or our last possession at Indiana where we turned it over and they hit some free throws to get a larger lead. But I saw a lot of good things happening. It was a matter of getting better in those first 50 to 65 possessions of the game, so the last possession of the game maybe wasn't magnified or we were in better position. And then once we had the win against Michigan State, I really think gave us confidence to kind of it reaffirmed what we were doing. I always believed in it. I knew it because I had lived it through the years with different teams and watched teams go through growing pains. We didn't have anybody in our locker room that had gone through, ups and downs. You were 66-12 in the last 2 years. So there's Hayes and Koenig's freshman and sophomore year, 2 Final Fours, 66-12. That's not the normal college basketball athlete's experience. They're usually going to have to go through some form of adversity, and this was the first really time the boat had been rocked in 2 years. So we had to grow through that a little bit.
All right, we'll go in the front row with a couple. We're over here with Dave. Go ahead.
David Jones from Penn Live. Hi, Greg. Piggybacking on what John was asking about the swing, 30 years ago, a lot of people ran patterned offenses. Now, not so much. There's a lot of high ball screen and flat fours. And do you have any kind of overarching philosophy about why you like running the swing or any patterned offense compared to just basically rolling the ball out and letting them go?
Well, I think the one thing it helped our younger guys, it gave two things that helped establish for us. It put Hayes and Hap in their comfort zone on the block, and it also gave us better spacing away from the ball and gave them more room to operate. The second thing was it gave all of our younger guys a comfort level. A continuity offense helped them, put them on track, so to speak, and allowed them to develop within it. We break off the pattern. I mean, we still are a little robotic in it, and that'll take time as we run it through the summer and into next year, and as they become more accustomed to it in the off season. There's a lot of motion concepts within it. It's basically ball side triangle, and we have options that we play out of the ball side, and we have options we play out of the weak side. So from that standpoint, trying to get to the free throw line was key for us, and we did. We were able to get there a lot through that stretch in January and early February, and I think that helped. This team is different than last year's team in terms of how they score and how they can score. So we had to manufacture other ways, and part of that was trying to really touch the post and play inside out, and that resulted in us getting to the free throw line more, and it also resulted us in getting better looks from the perimeter and better outside shots. We were able to play more inside out and take better threes than what we were taking maybe earlier in the year.
Did your guys buy in quickly?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I really felt this has been as seamless as a transition as I can. I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to, but for me personally and how the team has responded and how they've grown, they've really been, from day one, they understood what my plan was. It took us a little while to maybe take steps towards that plan from an everyday standpoint. But the coaches that I've talked to over the years that always kind of forewarned me, like, hey, it's hard to take over, for a legend. It's hard to step from an assistant into a head coach's role. And, one that's advised me a lot has been Tom Izzo, what he went through with taking over for Heathcote. So for me, really, having nothing to compare it to, it has been very, very easy. And it's large part because of what our kids have done, what our players have done. They've been phenomenal from day one.
Right here in front of me.
Zach Drapkin, Babel.com. Notre Dame is a lineup of 5 double-digit scorers. How do you plan to defend something like that?
Well, it'll be what we do as a team defensively. And we'll have to be very good in transition. We're going to have to be very good in the gaps in terms of taking away dribble penetration. We obviously got to get out in shooters. We're going to have our hands full with August inside and Colson inside. So, I don't think you look at it saying there's going to be one specific key. Last week we grew as much defensively as we had all year in the 2 games against Pittsburgh and Xavier. And hopefully that experience and developing that mindset and that maturity. And I understand this is the first time in 15 years we have not had a senior starter or a senior player in the rotation. So our maturity level, we've had to expedite that through the season. And I think last week we took a huge jump, especially on the defensive end. And we had 60 days ago, we couldn't defend like we did last weekend. So our toughness level and our commitment to the defensive end has grown exponentially in the last, 2-3 weeks, but really showed its face last weekend.
All right, let's stay here in front row, right in front of you, Coach.
Bob Groats, Delaware County Daily Times. Greg, as you know, Bo was born around here, Delaware County,
Right down in Chester,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I know. We're just a little north of it.
right down the road.
Yep.
A lot of the players he recruited, and also, that you talked about that seamless tradition. That's going from him to you. Do you still feel like Bo is like a part of this whole thing? And also, do you think that do you want to be back next year? Do you think you deserve to keep coaching this team after this year?
Did you know I signed a contract already? Okay, yeah. They actually gave me a 5-year contract about 3 weeks ago. I always had a 1-year contract. I thought, wow, I saw 5 years on that thing. Where do I sign? So I actually, it's the interim tag is the best loss we had all year was the loss of the interim tag. That's our best loss in the last 3 weeks.
I retract the question.
Okay, but Bo is a part of this program. Obviously, he's been a huge part of not only the University of Wisconsin's basketball program, but the fabric of basketball within the state of Wisconsin. Obviously, the time that he spent there and helping the game grow and develop from his time at Wisconsin prior, from '76 to '84 as an assistant, and then to Platteville, and then to Milwaukee, and then back to Madison. So he has a huge piece. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball in the state of Wisconsin. So that will always, obviously, I'm indebted to him for he saw a young college kid 25 years ago or 23 years ago and said, hey, do you want to get into this profession? And I did at the time, and he gave me a great opportunity, and obviously I'm very fortunate and appreciative of that.
Over here, row 3, we got Josh.
Hi, Greg. Josh Verlin, City of Basketball Love. Kind of piggybacking on that last question, do you find it maybe poetic, maybe ironic that, the year he does retire, that you guys are here in Philly, in the area where he's from, and maybe what does playing in this area mean to your guys because of that?
Well, I haven't talked to our guys about that, and they obviously know. They've heard all the Chester stories. I promised I wouldn't recite any of them this weekend for them. I'd tell them anything they want to know about Cobb, but nothing about Chester. I think it's ironic. The last time I was here was coincidentally for Butch Ryan's funeral that we flew out, myself and the seniors at that time. I think it was the 2013-14 season. Our seniors came out, and for Butch's funeral, we actually got a chance to get a little tour of Lincoln Financial. We couldn't get into this building. It was closed. They had something going on, a concert or something in here at that night. And the Phillies were in the playoffs, so we saw the field there. And so that was the last time we've been in the area that I've been here. So it's ironic, coincidental that we happen to be back near Chester and in his hometown.
We'll do last two, so we'll start with Mark, and then we'll go to Shannon after that.
Coach, you've said that shot that Bronson made was one that was actually drawn up and everything. Could you talk about that, and also about his sort of like wanting to be in the moment and wanting to take that kind of shot?
Well, I don't know if I drew it up and said run to the corner and shoot a step back 24-footer, but you just try to. Our players make plays, and Bronson hit an unbelievable shot. Probably one of the best shots in Wisconsin basketball history, or obviously it's the most fresh in everybody's mind. But the players are the one that made that happen. We were able to. It was Nigel's idea to advance instead of taking the timeout, and I said, yeah, let's do it. And so we got it to half court, and then obviously they make the plays. You give them an idea of the plan you want to have, a couple options with it, and then it's a credit to Bronson and Ethan on the pass and everybody else for doing their job within it to make that thing happen. So, I think what was the other part of your question?
Just his fearlessness, wanting to take.
Yeah, he's always been like that. I recruited him since he was a freshman in high school at Lacrosse Aquinas. So I've seen him take a lot of big shots. He hasn't made every big one I've seen him take, but you have to have a confidence inside of you. And you look back at the point guards we've had over the course of time here at Wisconsin, whether it's been Trevon Davis, Devin Harris, Jordan Taylor, Trayvon Jackson hit a lot of big shots for us. I can go through and name games that they hit shots in the last 10 seconds or big shots that were tide turners in games. And you always want to have your point guard with that type of mentality. And Bronson obviously has that. And typically, if you look across college basketball, you have the ball in a guard's hands, in a point guard's hands, and I'm glad he's on my team. I know that. I wouldn't trade him. But how he's grown, he's one of his growth this year has been, kind of a microcosm of how our team has grown. He was scuffling a little bit early in the year and scuffled the last couple of weeks, but he's a very confident kid that believes in himself and believes in his teammates. And, obviously, like I said, it's nice to see a kid like that that's worked really hard. And that's not the first time I've seen him hit big shots. I had a lot of confidence in him that, I didn't know that it was going to go in from the corner. I'm not going to be that prophetic and say I predicted it. But like I said, you always like to see it. I've always told the kids, our guys, March is your month. March is a player's month because of what goes on. And we kind of sit back and, hopefully steer them in the right direction. But it's neat to watch them go through that and live through this experience with them.
Okay, Shannon, go ahead.
Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. In what ways have you seen Ethan grow and kind of become more comfortable with his role? And also, I think Frank Kaminsky used to joke about at least like jokingly complain about his intensity in practices. What was he like, and is he still like that this year?
He's mellowed a little bit. He's matured a little bit, I think, in terms of, Frank could get under a lot of people's skin. He could get under my skin. He could get on everybody else's skin. And Frank just had that way about him, that personality. And it was always, he liked to have fun. And he would poke a little bit at people and ruffle their feathers. And Ethan would do it right back to Frank. So that's on the court in terms of how physical Ethan would play. And he'd foul Frank a little extra hard once in a while, and it upset Frank. But Ethan, I think, has really matured in terms of his consistency. And I think I really saw him turn the corner more after our game at home against Nebraska, where he really struggled. I think he only scored 2 points. He was in foul trouble. Just wasn't his night. And typically with freshmen, you see a lot of peaks and valleys. You see a good night where they look, You know, like they've been there for 3 or 4 years, and then you see like they just walked off a high school gym and came into the college game. So I think his consistency level has grown over the last month and a half. I think he practices at a higher rate for a longer period of time, and he's nowhere near where he can be. I think he's still scratching the surface. And in large part, that will be due to consistency and as he gets stronger and adds more pieces to his game. But I think that maturity level has grown quite a bit here in the last month.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have Wisconsin players in just a minute here. No, he's here. Yeah, you can send him up.
What's my mom calls? Oh, I'll take her call. You're not saying nothing important to me. I'll take my high school psychology teacher. Wow, that's crazy.
All right. We have Ethan, we have Bronson, and we have Nigel. Once again, if you have questions, we'll get a microphone to you. Please give your outlet and then ask your question. We'll start in the third row right here at the end.
Stephen Brooks, CNHI. Nigel, this question's for you. PJ Beecham from Notre Dame said that you guys had played on an AAU team together. I was just wondering what your relationship is with him and if you have any specific memories that stand out of being a teammate of his.
I was just texting him actually a second ago. I'm probably going to go in Notre Dame's locker room and say what's up to him. If that causes any trouble, you know, I got my guys with me. We'll settle that quickly. But yeah, we played AAU together. It was a great time. We won a lot of games, so that's always fun. Winning's fun. His family was great. I loved his dad. His dad was a great guy. You know, we just had fun. When you're playing AAU, growing up in, you know, junior high and high school, you're just out having fun on the weekend, whatever city you're in. So it's still great that we were able to stay in contact with one another. He eventually left to go back to a program in his home state, but he got his basketball skills from when he played with the Ohio team. So just remember that. Yeah.
We'll stay in the third row. Go ahead.
This question's for Ethan. Just as far as the season is going, you've played pretty well against the elites in the Big Ten. The elite centers, Thomas Bryant, Diamond Stone. What type of a different challenge does Zach August pose, and what type of things are you looking for in facing him?
He's one of the bigs that have quicker feet, and I've kind of used that to my advantage throughout playing in the Big Ten, and now he's kind of got the same skill set in that sense. So obviously you got to match his intensity. Coach talks about how he's a bulldog, and just kind of keep him in check.
Second row here with Dana.
Dana O'Neill at the ESPN. Nigel, Coach was talking about how in December your locker room kind of came together and you guys had to kind of come together as a team. What changed and how did y'all do that to kind of get to where you are now?
Again, with that question, I don't know if it's essentially we came together. I mean, we've always been close to one another. We always hung out with one another. I think what happened was it was more of a sense of urgency combined with guys starting to believe in themselves, and especially happened after the Northwestern game. As you all know, the story's been told a million times, but after that, the message I was trying to spread to the guys is that not only collectively are we better than that, but individually, the guys out there in their play, they are better players than what they and we have been playing like. And in order for us to, do something, do what we all expect we can do, and, start to actually win some games, we had to change our mindset and the way we approached it. And then once guys, embody that, our play picked up as a team, and collectively we came together, guys started playing better, and we just tried to ride that, that confidence in that way from here on out.
Up here in the front row with Dave, over here.
Dave Jones from Penn Live. Nigel, what's the technique of getting fouled? Because you get fouled a lot. What different things do you do? Do you try to get fouled a percentage of the time, or does it just happen because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and being where you're supposed to be?
Well, a couple of things. Growing up, I've always paid attention to things, and if you ever watch any great point guards, that's one of the things the commentators always mention is that he draws fouls by getting his body into the bigger guys. And also, I've watched James Harden, how he accumulates a lot of fouls. Again, I think he is or was leading in, most free throw attempts, most free throws made. And, I watched his technique and the way that he is able to draw fouls. I would not share that technique with you guys because I don't want to use it against us. But what he's done to do those fouls, I try to replicate. And it's worked thus far. And then it's just, a matter of not being afraid of contact. When you drive to the rim, you're going to expect there's a big guy in there who's been told, you must protect the rim in the paint. So you know that you're going to get hit. So it's a matter of embracing the contact and trying to, fight your way through it and finish and get an and one.
All right, we'll stay here in front, right in front of me.
GregandVabel.com. Bronson, how does experience factor into your approach to the tournament this season?
Just having been here before and having a bunch of older experienced guys the past couple of years, me and Nigel embrace our roles as leaders on this team and just making sure everybody else is ready to play when the game comes.
We'll go to the fourth row. Let's start with John on that side. Yep. And then we'll go to the other side of the aisle.
John Smallwood, Philadelphia Daily News. Bronson or any of the guys up there, can the transition in coaching that's kind of hit you guys surprised? Did Coach Gard have to sell you all on anything to get this going, or was it just he'd been there, so it was kind of easier because of that?
Yeah. Start with Bronson, and then we'll go to Ethan to answer the same question.
Like you said, he had been there for so long. He had been coaching with Coach Ryan for so many years that it wasn't really much of a change because they had the same, generally the same philosophies on everything. So, and he told us right from the start that it wasn't about him, that it was about the players, and he was going to do his best to make sure that we are in the best position possible for success, and that's what he did. And he told us it wasn't an audition for him, so he just made it all about his players.
Yeah, it's always been about the players, and we had a meeting with the coaches the day after he was announced the head coach, and he talked about how he was just so happy for us that we were getting a chance to contribute and play in the NCAA tournament, and he's done a great job of making it about the team.
On the other side of the aisle there in row 4, go ahead.
Ben Spiegel with the New York Times. This is for Bronson. You said last week after you hit your shot that you would practice that exact shot. How long had you been practicing that shot, and why that particular shot?
I would say approximately 3 years or so, ever since me and Nigel started playing our one-on-one games. I think it was freshman year sometime. And I mean, the rule is that, neither of us can go to the basket, so we have to shoot all jump shots basically. And it's pretty tough getting it over his outstretched arm. So, I mean, that's just one of the shots that, I have to perfect basically if I want to beat him in our one-on-one games, which I do most of the time. So, yeah.
A couple here in the second row. Start here at the end. Shannon.
Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. Ethan, Coach said that he thought you had a kind of a turning point after the game against Nebraska. Do you feel that way, and what changed for you?
Yeah, I think it was a mindset was the biggest change. It wasn't anything physical or skill-wise, but I think after that game, I kind of stopped getting down on myself so much for, not performing as well as I should be. And I think doing that has helped myself and my team get here.
Stay here in the second row right down here.
One of the things that, Chris Murray, Philadelphia Sunday Sun. One of your teammates improved his game this year, Vito Brown. But what has Coach meant in terms of your own individual games? This is for Nigel or Bronson or Ethan, in terms of your individual game and also you guys as a team.
Let's start with Nigel and then go to Bronson on that one.
He's done a great job, again, with being in the Wisconsin program, of making sure you preach the fundamentals, because as, non-cool, I guess you could say, it seems to portray that to especially younger kids doing the fundamentals. That's what makes, you able to do the better things in basketball. For example, one of the things he always harps on me about is when I drive through him, I need to focus on jump stopping instead of, going off 1 foot. And that jump stopping allows you to, if you don't have a shot right away, you have a chance to pump fake, you can pivot, you can find an open teammate. By going off 1 foot, you're already in the air, so the only thing you can do is either throw up a bad shot if it's not there, throw a terrible pass if it's not there, or travel. So he tries to emphasize doing the fundamentals of things, and then from there, you're just playing a game of basketball, and that's something not only he tells myself but the team.
And Bronson?
Like Nigel said, he really stresses the fundamentals, and he's also a perfectionist. I mean, I'm sure he kind of got that from Coach Ryan. He's always making sure that we're doing the right thing on and off the court in practice, just 100% of the time. Even if we win a game, he still and we play really well, he can still find 100 clips for game film the day after to show us. So, but me personally, just driving more north and south and getting my shoulders to the rim and finishing through contact.
All right, in the fourth row back down there.
Greg Logan of Newsday for Bronson. Two-part question. First, what does it do for your confidence to make a shot like that? And second, what is the most interesting thing been about the reaction to that shot since then?
Yeah, well, I was in a little bit of a shooting slump for the past couple games, so it definitely felt really good to get out there and make a couple shots, and especially, a game winner, a game tie and a game winner like that. So hopefully I can let that, propel me forward in these next 4 games or so. So yeah, and I mean, I just get asked more questions like this, so that's pretty much it.
We'll take one last question, Shannon, down here.
A follow-up for Ethan. I think Frank Kaminsky talked about you guys kind of, I guess you getting to him last year in practices, and Coach was saying that you could kind of give it right back to him. One of the few guys, I guess, who can do that. But how much did going against him help you in ways? And for the other 2 guys, Coach said that Ethan's mellowed out a little this year. Has he, or is he as intense as he was in practices last year?
Start with Ethan.
I mean, I owe a lot of my game to Frank, whether it's him, verbally telling me what to do, or me just learning from experience playing against him. I've learned a lot of moves from him. I've even learned some stuff watching Nigel the past couple of years, and having Frank to go against, the best player in the country last year, all year long, was something special, and I think redshirting was the best decision, and I think I wouldn't have been able to play against him every day in practice if I hadn't done that.
Bronson or Nigel, you want to chime in?
I think Ethan's always been a pretty mellow dude. He's just, like you were saying before, he's done a lot better job recently of not getting so down on himself, especially since, the first day he got on campus and those first few practices, he, took criticism pretty hard. So he's definitely gotten more mentally tough in that sense.
Okay. Thanks, fellas. Okay, we will have Notre Dame players Demetrius Jackson, VJ Beecham, and Zach August in just a few seconds. After that, we will have Notre Dame head coach Mike Bray. While the players are coming up, just a reminder, we have 2 microphone holders. Just raise your hand. They will come to you. When you are asking a question, just give your name and your outlet, and then ask your question, especially since we are now dealing with a new team. So they are going to be unfamiliar to you guys. All right, questions for the Notre Dame students. Go ahead, here in the front row.
Zach Drapkin, Vavel.com. VJ, how have things changed for you during this month of March?
Just been playing with a lot of confidence, just trying to knock down my open shots and do whatever I can to help us win. But just for us to be in this position, it really speaks to our team, finding it at the right time, especially defensively. So.
And in the second row, Shannon.
Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. Zach, how would you describe just your evolution since you came to Notre Dame and even this year? And a follow-up to that is, I think I read Coach had you watch video of yourself just from an emotional standpoint. How much have you changed in that sense, too? And if you could talk about what he did with you in that.
I think I've matured a lot and grown individually as a player and as a man, both on and off the court. Coach Bray had me, he took me aside. We kind of watched some film. I was a type of emotional player, and sometimes I let it get the best of me. But, over the course of the years, I've learned to channel it in a positive way and just really use it play my game at a high level.
Row 4 at the end of the row, Mike.
Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer for Demetrius. A lot of NBA mock drafts have you in the top 10, the top 15. How do you put that out of your mind? What do you do to put your future kind of out of your mind at this point and focus on what's ahead of you immediately?
Yeah, just kind of worrying about what's here now. Focusing on how I can be the best I can be today, and how I can help my team win games. And so that's what's most important. And I just want to go out and have fun. My teammates, these are like my brothers. So just spending time together, hanging out, having fun, just playing as hard as we can every time we step on the court.
Yep, here in the front row again.
Zach Drapian, Babel.com. Wisconsin is one of the best defenses in the country. Do you guys think you found anything you can exploit to score when you face them tomorrow night?
We'll start with Demetrius, and then we'll go to VJ.
Yeah, we're going to throw the ball into Zach a bunch, give him a bunch of post feeds, and let him go to work.
We're just going to try to play our game offensively, get great movement with the ball, a lot of cuts, and just try to knock down open shots. So.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think we have one of the most efficient offenses in the country as well. So, us just playing unselfish and playing our movement should be great.
Okay, second row, Shannon.
I have a follow-up for you, Zach. Just those clips he showed you, when was that? And which ones, what did you see yourself doing? And can you describe that? And were there certain ones or a certain game where it really kind of stood out to you or clicked with you?
Yeah, it was a little bit late after last season. We put a bunch of clips together from the past game, some practice where I had some bad body language. I let my frustration get the best of me. You see my body language after certain plays, and really just watching that really helped. That way I can see it, because sometimes you can't really notice it until you see it. So yeah.
We'll go to the fourth row. Ed, just raise your hand real quick, Ed, so we can see. Okay.
Ed Barkowitz, Daily News, Philadelphia. Demetrius, this is Steve Astoria's hometown. Any cheesesteak plans? And two, what does he do for you guys on the court?
Yeah, we had cheesesteak as soon as we got here yesterday in the hotel. So we had it right away. And then, he just gives us a great lift just as a whole. He's a great leader. He definitely leads with his actions and his play. He goes out and plays as hard as he can, gets on the floor. He's always the first guy to the floor. So that's definitely, something that a team really needs, and he's really given that to us, in his whole career at Notre Dame. And he just plays as hard as he can. And he just, he knocks down the shots, he drives, he does it all. So he's definitely a guy you want to have on your side, and a guy, you don't want to be matched up against.
Okay, let's stay in the fourth row on the other side to Dana, and then we'll come to you, Mark.
Dana O'Neill with ESPN. Zach, about your emotions, and I know you talked about tempering them and your body language, but how much do you feed off of kind of having that kind of snarl and that attitude out on the court?
Yeah, I draw from it. I draw from the crowd as well. I love playing with high energy. I try to rub it off a little bit on my teammates, and they play with high energy as well, and that kind of rubs off on me. So just really that high level of energy and passion and emotion is really what I feed off of playing basketball.
All right, staying on that same side, second row here, Mark, go ahead.
Narducci of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Demetrius, could you talk about your counterpart or point guard Bronson, what you've seen on him on tape, and what he does for the Wisconsin team?
Yeah, he's a really great player. Saw him play a little bit of high school as well. He can really shoot the ball, and he has great fundamentals, and so he's just a really great player. So it's going to be fun being matched up as a competitive person. Just love being matched up against other great guards.
All right, we're coming over to the third row over here. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, so for VJ, Henry Bushnell, SB Nation. VJ, you've seen a big uptick in your role and just in minutes this year. What about Coach Bray's offense and the system that you guys run has made you be able to step in and be so efficient in this year?
I just think our movement offensively, we really a lot of times are 4-around-1 around Zach, and we just move and cut without the ball. We kind of play, besides our point guard, positionless, and it really allows for guys to step up and knock down open shots, drive whenever, and we really just play free out there. The freedom that he gives us really just allows all of us to play at the highest level and use our strengths.
All right, right next to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, this question's for Zach. Isaac Bushnell, Scotty Sports Talk. How much have you seen of Ethan Happ, and what are you looking for in your matchup against him?
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to see too much from him. We watched a little bit of their game. He's a great, solid player. And I'm just looking forward to, being within myself and just playing well and focusing on us as a team.
On the other side of the aisle there, right there, Dana, go ahead.
Dana O'Neill, VJ and Demetrius, I wanted to ask you about Zach. You know, that emotion that he plays with. How do you react to it? And do you have a best Zach moment on the court that you can share?
Start with Demetrius.
I mean, every time we step on the court, I think it's, you know, a new memory made, and you know, he plays with a lot of passion. He has a lot of passion for the game, and you know, he loves to play, and so you know, he gets fired up. He makes these big time blocks and big time defensive plays or offensive plays, and you know, we really feed off that energy, and you know, it's contagious in a good way. So we just try to, you know, feed off this guy and keep him rolling.
I agree with what Demetrius said. You know, as far as Zach's passion, we really feed off of it a lot. But my favorite moment was the game against Duke in the ACC tournament when he got the and one and was like hitting his own head. I don't know what was going on there, but it got the rest of us going. So.
All right. Any more questions for the players? Okay. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
We'll have Notre Dame head coach Mike Brey at 1:45.
I mean, hey, Craig. Want to check with Craig? Craig.
Yeah, that's fine. We're ready. Yeah, let's go ahead. All right, we're going to have Notre Dame head coach Mike Brey up here in just a few seconds. Start a few minutes early with him. Coach, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Mike.
I am also Mike, so that works out perfectly. Okay, we have Notre Dame head coach Mike Brey. We will start with a question from Shannon here in the second row.
Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Shannon.
With Zach, I know you showed him some videos of just his maybe bad body language or things you didn't like. What did you want him to see, and how much of an impact did that have?
I think Zach, as a young player in our program, was a great overreactor. He plays with great emotion, and I wanted to be careful because the energy and emotion and passion he plays with drives our team and is contagious many times, but a reaction to a mistake, a reaction to what he thought was a bad call, Now, he had an incident as a young player in practice where he got upset and punched the standard and broke his hand. And that was the ultimate of, can you just take a deep breath? And I think it just comes with growing up and getting older and being very coachable.
Fourth row, Ed, go ahead.
Mike Ed Barkowitz from Daily News Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a lot of history in this tournament. And certainly you got to see perhaps the most significant moment. What goes through your mind when you see Christian Laettner running around the court, at this time of year so frequently?
A lot of memories from across the parking lot in that old Spectrum, and certainly I've spent a lot of time in it, even when I was down the road in Newark, Delaware. But I have a lot of respect for Philadelphia basketball. Growing up in the corridor on 95 and the history here, not only in the NCAA tournament, but this is a basketball city. I was kind of a stepchild down there in Wilmington, Delaware, but every now and then they let me come up, and Dumpf and Jay, they made me feel like Philly guys every now and then because I was close. The great coaches that have come out of this area, just even being in our hotel, the people working they're hoops people. So I'm energized being back in the city, and I'm really proud that I can bring my team here.
Second row here, Adam.
Hey, Coach. Adam Zagoria, SMY. Good to see you. Just your thoughts on this new NBA draft rules, what it might mean for a guy like Demetrius, and your thoughts on Coach Calipari saying everyone on his team, including the walk-ons, are going to declare.
Well, I want to add to that. I'm putting my name in, so I'm gonna go too and test the waters. But no, I think it's great. It's great for the young people. I don't want to hear about it's tough on coaches. One of my assistants started whining about it. I almost fired him last night. I said, shut up. I mean, it's what, I think it'll save some bad decisions that we've had, that a kid can go, get the information, and still have time to digest it. Certainly for Demetrius Jackson, it's great. And I love how the NBA and the NCAA are really working more hand in hand lately. This is a great rule. Yeah, putting his whole team in. Well, he's not getting any pub here lately, right? Because he's not playing. So he's doing anything to stay out there. The guy's a master. He's a master.
We'll go to the other side of the aisle over here, row 4. Go ahead.
Mike, Jerry Carino from the Asbury Park Press. Sports Illustrated article last week gave you high marks for finding players who are maybe a little bit under the high recruiting radar and then developing those guys over the course of 4 years. What are the keys to doing those two things?
I think now we have a system. I have a great staff, and I have a staff who's been with me for a while. So we kind of know how to earmark guys and find them. You being from Asbury Park, there's a guy that we've injected into the starting lineup in Matt Farrell that really fits the bill. We signed him late a couple years ago, and he was great. He just has gotten better and been patient. Again, we love guys that have been with us 4 and sometimes 5 years and get better. And I think it's interesting, the program we're playing, they do it the same way.
Go over here, row 4. Yep, Neil.
Hi, Coach. Neil Gahagan from the 21st Century Media. A year ago, you described Steve Vasturia as a baby-faced assassin. Can you expound on that? And do you still consider him that same type of player, or has he matured beyond that? Or
Well, my facial hair still grows faster than his, so he's still baby-faced. He is a beautiful basketball player. I tell young kids, watch Steve Vasturia play the game. His feel for the game, his instincts on both ends of the floor. I think a lot of that has to do with Speedy Morris and great high school coaching and playing in this corridor. But for him, the guy has made big shot after big shot. We asked him to drive more this year, and then he's added that to his game. He's still our most reliable defender that we will put on people, and he's going to have to guard Hayes some tomorrow night. Where he's really grown is he's been a quiet guy. He's talking more. He's become more of a captain, and that's helped us and helped him individually.
We'll stay toward the back there, Mike, over on this side of the aisle.
Yes, sir. Michael Luongo, AP Broadcast. When you face a team that has evolved during the season, is it hard to get a gauge on just what kind of team you're going to face tomorrow night?
No, I think we have a great feel for them, and I have the utmost respect for the Wisconsin program. Bo Ryan and I are on the NABC Board of Directors together. We have been friends, I think, for a while. Both kind of worked our way up in the profession similarly, and so I've always respected his program. Greg Gard should be mentioned for National Coach of the Year stuff. I mean, this team was 9-9, 1-4. They lost to Milwaukee and Western Illinois at home, and he's got them really playing. I think they're extremely confident. They're running what they run, and they've always run. And a little bit like us, they believe they're supposed to win every close game. So I think makes for an exciting night tomorrow night.
We'll go up here in front of the room. Go ahead.
Zach Drapkin, Vavel.com. What are you looking to exploit in Wisconsin's top-tier defense?
Well, I think you have to try and get down the floor on them a little bit and not play against their set defense. One of the things that's helped us with Matt Farrell in the lineup, we have another guy that can push it in transition other than Jackson. And we can maybe get some easy buckets. Because if you have to play against their set defense, it becomes, kind of a long night.
And Shannon, second row.
Just to follow up to the Zach stuff, what do you remember the incident? Like what happened or what ticked him off to make him break his hand?
I think it was just he was having a frustrating practice. He had turned it over a couple times, and then he turned it over again and thought he got fouled. And the assistant coach's ref in practice, and he didn't get a call. And as a young guy, he just turned around in frustration with a closed fist and punched the standard, broke his hand, and was out 6 weeks. And it really cost him probably being in our lineup. It cost him having momentum that season. And we laugh about it now, but it was just him being hot-headed as a young guy. He's done a great job channeling that passion and energy into positive stuff. And what it does is it picks up the rest of the group. His passion is amazing.
Court, he has a chance to break a field goal percentage record. Just what's he brought in terms of consistency? How's he gotten to this point on the court?
He has been a bright lights deliverer. When the lights are brightest, big time regular season games, he has really delivered. And in the ultimate big stage, this tournament, for him to be mentioned of possibly breaking Bill Walton's record, it's unbelievable. It's just amazing. I'm very, very proud of him. But he gave himself to us. Here's a 4-year guy who let us coach him. He didn't get distracted with, am I good enough to leave early, or I need to play a certain way. He knows how to play in our system, and he plays to his strengths, and he doesn't try and do things he shouldn't do. And that's why he's been amazingly efficient, and he's going to make a good living playing the game after it's over, after his college career is over.
Up here in the third row at the end.
Stephen Brooks, CNHI. Coach, without revealing too much, do you anticipate doing anything to keep VJ in the sort of rolling momentum he's been having, or do you just kind of want to let him feel it out naturally?
I'm going to reveal a big secret. Play him a lot. Play him a lot. Play him 30-some minutes. Don't mess with him. I'm really thrilled with what he's given, and you and I talked about this, I think, back in South Bend. Here's a guy that wasn't very confident last year. I wasn't even putting him in the game this time because he just wasn't ready to do it. And to see him setting the tone for us, I'm thrilled. Again, it's another guy who's given himself to us. We've been able to coach him. We've grown him up. And he's really delivering now, and I think he'll go into this weekend very confident.
We'll go to the back of the room over there at the end, row 4.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, look at that.
Hi, Mike.
How you
Kevin
doing, Kevin?
Tressolini, DelawareOnline.com. You were talking about your staff. Martin Inglesby is being mentioned for a couple head coaching openings, one of which you know about quite well nearby. What are the characteristics, the qualities he has that you think will make him a fine head coach?
Well, I think somebody's going to get him. I'd be thrilled if the guys in Newark got him. I think he'd be an unbelievable fit. But that process, I'm sure, will play itself out. He's the whole package. He is, we've been known for our offensive efficiency and how we've played. He has as much input in what we do offensively as I do. We conspire on a lot of things. Great communicator. Our players love him. He knows how to connect. He's done a heck of a job recruiting. And what's lost a lot of times too is he's got a great family. His wife gets the profession, 3 young kids. As you know, being in the community with your young family is as important as running the right out-of-bounds play when you start to build a program. Good to see you, man.
Coach.
A couple rows back, also at the end of the aisle.
Hey, Mike. C.J. Moore, Bleacher Report. There's been a lot of teams that have played. You've played 2-point guards a lot in the past, and a lot of teams in the tournament playing 2-point guards. How much does that help an offense, and kind of what are the reasons you've done it in the past?
Yeah, we've trended to it a lot. I think back to Chris Quinn and Chris Thomas, McElharney and Chris Quinn, and we Torrey Jackson and McElharney. To have two ball handlers on the floor now, two guys that can go off the dribble, I think it just makes you harder to guard, and it takes the pressure off of that lone point guard. In our case, Demetrius Jackson, people have been loading up on him the second half of the season when he's the lone handler. Are they going to double the ball screen? Or how they come at him? It's exhausting. Sometimes when Matt Farrell can initiate the offense and Demetrius can get down on the baseline, it's a little refreshing for him to catch it maybe on the wing or the corner instead of having to bring it into the teeth. And that's why we've liked doing it, and right now we're in that mode with Matt and Demetrius.
We'll come back down here to the front to Zach.
Zach Drapkin, Vavel.com. What are you telling your guys when things get close down the stretch in these games?
It's more what they're telling themselves. You know, the talk in our huddles, the leadership, even VJ Beecham, we talked about as a staff in the huddles down the stretch against Stephen F. Austin, and it didn't look very good. He's telling guys, we're fine, stay calm, let's get a stop here, get a good possession. I think at this point in the season, a group has complete ownership of itself, and what they're saying to each other and how they pick each other up and how they believe is more important than what I'm saying to them.
Stay in the front row over here.
Aaron Kasner, Penn Live. Mike, you've been in the ACC for 3 years now. Is there a difference between how that conference prepares you for the tournament than the Big East, and what do you attribute the ACC success in the tournament to?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. You know, when we left the Big East, it looked like this ACC of this year. You know, we were getting the 8, 9 bids, and of course that one year we got 11 bids. But I have the same feel this year. I had the same feel even on our media day that I thought we'd be really deep. And we were, and that's, you know, in Louisville, maybe we would have had 7 if Louisville was around and part of this thing. But it definitely gets you ready. It gets you tougher. You've seen many different styles of play. You've seen and experienced many different game situations. So I think our league now, after this year, has really spoken loudly of, you know, who's the conference, and we'll go into next year with the same momentum.
Okay, any more questions for Coach Bray? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. All right, we will have Indiana in 5 minutes.
Who's coming in for Indiana yet? Hey, Mike. Where's Mike? He was just here a second ago. This is mine, right? I want to see yours.
They're out. Sorry? They just go out on satellite. Were you panicking? Thomas Bryant, Nick Zeisloft. All right, well, Coach Crean up here in just a second. Here he comes. Once again, I would ask, if you have a question, we have 2 microphone holders. Wait for a microphone to come over to you. When you ask your question, please start by giving us your name and your media outlet, and then ask your question. So once we get Coach seated, we will get things rolling here.
Okay.
You ready, Coach?
Sure.
All right, we'll start in the back. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. Coach Michael Luongo, AP Broadcast. Talk about this challenge coming up tomorrow night in this round, especially against North Carolina, and what's the keys for your team tomorrow night?
Well, it's a great challenge because, I mean, they don't put anybody out on the court that can't defend at a high level or score at a high level. And I think one of the things that separates this Carolina team so much is the way they pass the ball. So it all starts with your transition because they get out and run. The only thing that in our league that is close to this is Iowa when it comes to how quick they get out after a made basket. And Carolina just keeps putting more forwards out that can continue to get out. They do such a great job with their first 3 steps of getting out on the break in every area and throwing the ball ahead. So you have to get back. I mean, there's no, you can't be in the middle of the court. You can't be wondering who you have. You can't be thinking about who's going to get the rim. If you're first, you've got to get the rim. And the other thing that they do such a great job in is not just the offensive rebounding in the half court, it's the offensive rebounding in transition. So everybody's got to not only get back and stop the ball, be protective of the rim and the shot, but you got to get back and find a man to box out. And then their offensive rebounding is astounding with what they do in the half court. And the key for us offensively is to get great movement, have great decision making on the break, you know, whether it's the break is there, whether it's not, but you cannot give them live ball turnovers. They do as good a job as anybody in the country at turning your turnover into a dunk or a layup. And they have a lot of length, and they try to really shrink the court because of the way they come off the wings and because of the length of the forwards. So there's no question that decision-making and all-out hustle, you know, with a purpose, getting back defensively, and then just being really ready to rebound constantly are going to be keys to the game.
All right, we'll start in the back row, seated right here at the end. Mark.
Coach Mark Narducci, the Philadelphia Inquirer. A lot of times if people don't star right away, they get impatient. But Yogi, his freshman year, averaged under 8 a game. Could you just talk about his evolution from them and what he has grown the most in,
Sure.
and where you see him maybe even for the next level?
Well, you know what Yogi did such a great job of? He was one of the best players in the country his senior year in high school, and he won 2 state championships and finished the runner-up for a third as a sophomore. And he came in and completely immersed himself with his teammates because we had guys like Victor Oladipo and Cody Zeller, Christian Watford and Jordan Hulls and Derek Elston were seniors. And he was a tremendous leader in his own right for us with the way that he delivered the ball, the way that he defended, made open shots. And he did a fantastic job with that. And what he continued to do over time was get more and more confidence scoring the ball, more and more confidence defensively. One of the great workers I've ever been associated with when it comes to not only how hard he practices, but what he does extra. And what he's done this year is he's totally taken his leadership to another place. And I think that's what's made him even that much more of an incredible player because he not only leads his teammates, but he shares, he talks to them constantly. And Yogi is a very, very smart player, smart person, but he's a very, very smart player. And sometimes when guys are really smart, they don't always understand how much you have to share your knowledge with your teammates. And he does an excellent job of that. And I think in turn, he's been impacted so much by them, not only because the other guys are talented, but because he feels that confidence back from them because he sees it come out on the floor. So I think here's a guy that has always had, I mean, he's been a known player back in the Midwest since probably the 5th grade. And what he's done is to do whatever it takes for his team to be successful. And this year he's at a high. And I think his next coach in the NBA is going to be very, very happy with the player that he's going to get because Yogi is not only a guy that can make the NBA, but he's a guy that's going to be able to impact teams going into April, May, and June. And that's what you really want the deciding factor of a player to be. Not are they draft eligible, not can they make the NBA, but can they go in and really impact a team. And I think he's heading there.
We have one 4th row, and then we'll get a couple up here in front. So go ahead, Ed.
Tom Ed Barquist from Daily News in Philadelphia. There's a lot of history in Philadelphia with this tournament, and certainly with Indiana. What is your sense of that, and the '81 game for sure? You know, what's your sense of the history in Philadelphia?
Oh, I think it's tremendous. And when you look at the national championships that have been won here, they've heard about that this week. We certainly, I wish we could take them and tour the Spectrum. We should go take a picture outside in the lot there. We had a great day today. We went and practiced at the Palestra, and they'll understand how big that is. To me, that's a bucket list deal for me, you know, for us to be able to get in there. And that was fantastic. But they know the history, and they see the pictures, right? Because the Sports Illustrated cover of Isaiah Thomas hangs in our locker room in a full, you know, size poster, and they know the history. But they're basketball fans, so they understand that Philadelphia has got great basketball. It's one of the great basketball cities in the world, let alone the United States. And not just because of the history, but because of the way people keep honoring the tradition by the great teams that are here, and by the fact that so many really good players and coaches keep coming out of this area. So I have only played in this building as a coach one time when I was at Marquette. It was a big Monday against Villanova. It was incredible. I told them from the very beginning, I mean, they have no idea how exciting it's going to be in that arena, but it's like everything else that we do, whether it's history, whether it's being in this level, we have got to stay absolutely locked in to what we're here for, you know, which is defending and competing against an outstanding Carolina team tomorrow night.
Go here in the front, right in front of Coach.
Brett Friedlander, Wilmington Star News. Tom, for those of us from North Carolina who haven't seen a lot of your team since December 3rd, in what ways have you guys improved the most since that night at Cameron?
Well, I don't know if there's been any team that has been held more accountable to what they did from December 2nd before, you know, than this team. And we've had to live with a lot of that back home. But the good thing for these guys is they don't let it affect them. All they did is get better. And we weren't very good that night, and we're almost at 3.5 months now. So it's just crazy that we continue to have to look back at that game, because I'm not sure we learned a lot from that game. What we learned from that game is we need to be more aggressive. What we learned about ourselves is that we control that aggressiveness. You know, we control our ball movement. We control our ability to not only be connected defensively, which we've really become, but to really get out and run. And as poor as our defense was early on in the year, our running game was equally as bad because we weren't getting enough stops. We weren't getting out and playing fast enough. And really, pre-Morehead State, which was December 5th, the one game that we really did it right was in the Creighton game. And we played really well that night against a good team at home. And then we went to Maui, and we didn't play as well. But we didn't move the ball as well, and we weren't as connected defensively. But I think everything is continuing to improve because the fact of the matter is that guys continue to get better at Indiana. And they don't just get better through practice, and they don't just get better through schemes and X's and O's. They get better fundamentally. And it doesn't matter if you're Yogi Ferrell, who was a McDonald's All-American, or some of our freshmen like OG and Juwan that were mildly recruited. They were recruited, but they were mildly recruited. You get better, and eventually you really learn that you're going to have, you are responsible to impact your teammates, and not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end. And I think that's been the biggest thing for us. And we've never lost 2 games in a row, so they're absolutely resilient. They learn from their mistakes. They build on their successes. And there's never been a time where I walked into practice or walked out of practice thinking that we had some guys that were full of themselves. We've not had that at all. And I think that's got a lot to do with why we're here today.
We got a couple here in the second row. Let's start with Adam, and then we'll go to Shannon after that.
Hey, Coach.
Adam.
Adam Zagoria, SMY. You mentioned Yogi with the NBA. Just your thoughts on the new draft rules and how it might help some of you guys on your team, like maybe Thomas, and also your thoughts on Coach Calipari saying yesterday he's going to put his whole team, including the walk-ons, in.
Yeah, I don't have many thoughts on what he did. I haven't read that story, but we're all part of the same group that, that was involved behind the scenes in these decisions, or pushing it to get it to this point. And I think it's really good. But we haven't spent a lot of time. I understand the new rules, but we haven't spent a lot of time on that. And so we'll get to that. We'll get to that, and hopefully we don't have to get to that for a while. But I think anything that allows them to make the best decision possible, to get the best level of exposure, but it still comes down to this. There's still very little real, honest, truthful, unfiltered, non-agenda-driven feedback. And the whole key is to get that feedback, because so many mistakes are made because people get into the other part of it. And there's so many opinions and voices, and everybody's got an idea on it, but there's very, very few decision makers. And the trick is to really understand what the decision makers see, get your people to understand that, which we've been pretty fortunate with that at Indiana, and then build from there. But that's the most important thing, and I do love the new rules, and hopefully they're here to stay, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, Shannon.
Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. You mentioned OG being mildly recruited. Just wondering if you could explain, how he's gotten to this point, how he's grown this season. And it seems like, at least the last couple games, he's had like a really important play or a high energy play. Just what's he bringing to the team right now?
Well, he's really brought that since right before Christmas, and then going into the Big East season, with the culmination of James Blackman getting hurt. Well, OG was already going to play. I mean, it wasn't like James Blackman's injury affected him from getting minutes. What it did is it increased his role, because it made us bigger when James went out, because we had one less true backcourt player. But at the end of the day, OG is being developed that way. And OG is a guy that it's not about positions, and it's very little about positions with any of our guys, because if they want to play in the future, it's very little about positions in the NBA. And it's very much about being multidimensional, versatile, skilled, being able to shoot, being able to defend different people. And OG is fitting that bill. But what happened for him in December is he really learned how to sustain intensity. His work ethic has been strong since the week he arrived at Indiana. And it just continued to get stronger. The other night, Sunday night, we're not practicing Sunday. I'm in there working. It's 11 o'clock at night. The music's going. There's Juwan and OG. They left sometime after 1. I mean, that's just the level of work ethic that they have, that they want to be in the gym getting better. So he's got a tremendous passion, but he's learned how to sustain the intensity. He's learned that he can do more things defensively than he ever realized. He's a good shooter, and he's learning more and more about the spacing of the game, the passing of the game, making decisions and reading, and he's very, very humble and wants to get better. And so when you've got those combinations, you can't help but have success.
We have one final question. We're in row 4. Bob, just raise your hand real quick, Bob. Yep, go ahead.
Bob Cooney, Philadelphia Daily News. You talk about your team being resilient, and you have a fourth-year point guard. Just talk to that. Like, how much does it, in this day and age, how much does that mean, having a fourth-year point guard? How luxurious is that for you to have that, and how much it lends to being as resilient as they are?
Well, it means a lot, because to go to the 3 Sweet 16s in 5 years, the 2 teams that went back-to-back had experience. They had Jordan Hulse. Cody Zeller was young, but he was a very savvy player, right, at his position. Victor Oladipo grew. We got to grow older together, with that team. And then those guys left. They got drafted in the lottery or they graduated. And so then you're starting with young guys again. And Yogi's been that guy that needed to grow up into being that leader. And so now you take him and his ability to play and lead, and you take Max Bielfeldt, who's gotten tremendously better here, and Nick Zeisloff. The highlight of my day is just watching Nick Zeisloff get a dunk out there. He could barely touch the rim when he got to Indiana as a grad transfer from Illinois State. Now he's in our drills dunking the ball like it's nothing, right? You want that. When guys are getting better, and they know they're getting better in practice, and they can carry it out to the games, all right, and they see each other working the same way. It's not like 75% of the guys work hard, 25% leave as soon as practice is over. That stuff all carries into them. As coaches, we might get mad, but the players lose respect. And these guys have got a tremendous amount of respect for one another, and I think that carries into the resiliency, because they don't feel like they're going to get beat, because they've got a connectedness to one another, and that helps. We may get beat, but the bottom line is, don't lose the game because you gave up on something. And these guys have really worked hard to overcome that and have had some huge victories this year because of that connectedness. And I think that's where the resilience manifests itself.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. Hi, Dan. Hi, Mike.
Thanks, Coach.
I just figured that.
Okay, we have Thomas, Yogi, and Nick. Once again, if you have questions for any of them, raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone. Name and outlet before you ask your question. We'll start here in front with Zach.
Zach Drapkin, Babel.com. Thomas, as a freshman, how daunting is it to face teams like Kentucky and North Carolina in the NCAA tournament?
It feels great to face these teams. When you play for a great team like Indiana in year in the NCAA, you expect to face nothing but the best teams, and it feels great to do that.
Okay, let's start here in row 2. First, let's start at the end of the row. I'm sorry, yeah, let's go that way, and then we'll come to the end of the row. Go ahead.
Thomas from Rochester, going back to Philly now. Do you have any family or friends coming to the game tomorrow night?
Yeah, I got some family and friends coming.
Just, I guess, who else coming, and what's it going to be like to play in front of them and stuff again?
Just a couple of family members just coming to see a basketball game.
All right, let's go to the end of the row here with Dan.
Dan Gelson, the Associated Press. Yogi, how have you seen the freshmen progress throughout the season, and how do you see them impact in this game, considering how influential OG and Thomas were against UK?
Well, I feel like we've been preparing, for moments like this from the summer, beginning of the season, and I feel like they've grown so much with their impact that they have on the court. But not only that, I feel like their preparation has grown, and that's why they've had such a big impact on this team. And we saw the potential in them from the beginning of the season. OG, Juwan, Thomas, Harrison, just the way they go in and play like they're a veteran, like a senior, like me and Nick. They don't go out there and play timid, scared. They make a turnover, get on to the next play. But I'm just happy for them and the way they've stepped up.
We'll go to the 4th row. Bob, go ahead. Just raise your hand real quick so we can see it. Yep.
Yogi, Bob Cooney from the Philadelphia Daily News. A heralded player out of high school staying in college for 4 years is kind of an oddity now. How much have you grown, a senior now? If you look back at yourself as a freshman, as a sophomore, how much have you grown? How much different of a player are you now than you were then?
I feel like I'm very much of a different player. Just the way I've changed my mindset when I go out and play. Just different reads. Being a 4-year player, I've been in the game for a long time, so I feel like each game gives you something different a little bit, but most games are pretty much the same throughout. And when you played under, such a great coach as Tom Crean, who's taught you a lot of things, you can be a great player.
And then right behind him, go ahead.
Greg Logan of Newsday for Yogi. You did a great job with Tyler Eulis last week, who obviously is a guy who likes to have the ball in his hands a lot. How is the challenge different this week against Page? He's a pretty good distributor.
Well, you can't let him catch the ball. When he catches the ball, anything can happen for his team. He can dish it off to anybody, score at will, can shoot it from NBA range. So main thing with him is, you limit a guy touches, you limit a guy's attempts.
We'll go to the back row to the end there. Mark, go ahead. Raise your hand, Mark, real quick. Thank you.
Yeah, Yogi, Mark Narducci, the Philadelphia Inquirer. Could you go back to your freshman year and just talk about what that was like with all the veterans? You coming in as kind of a high school All-American and kind of having to take a little bit of a lesser role. What was that like for you then, and what did you learn from those guys that year?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. Our Sweet 16 when we played Syracuse, I felt like we played out of character, not doing what we do. Without us, we weren't hitting shots or anything like that, but we weren't playing like we did. So, just got to tell these guys to stick to our principles, everything that we do, our coverages, what we like to do on offense, because, we definitely don't want to lose this one.
We'll come all the way over here, front row. Dana, go ahead.
Dana O'Neill with ESPN. Thomas, Coach Crean just talked about your confidence and how it's evolved over the course of the season. How do you feel about your game right now, and how long did it take you to kind of get to where you feel like, okay, this is who I am and who I can be?
I knew who I was and what I had to do and what I could be when I got here. It was just a matter of me just learning the process. Sticking with my teammates. Even when I'm wrong, my teammates always help me out through it. And I just push myself to get better each and every day.
Stay in the front row. Just step up real quick so they can see it.
Aaron Kazan is from Penn Live. From an outsider's perspective, it seems like Coach Crean is often on the hot seat. People talk about his job security a lot. What does that do to you guys, and how do you feel now that you've reached a Sweet 16?
Why don't we go with Nick?
We don't pay attention to too much about that stuff, but Coach Crean has helped us ever since we all got to campus. You know, we always believe in Coach Crean. He believes in us, and he's trying to get us better in every aspect of our lives, whether it's on the court, off the court, in school. It's the full deal for him. He loves each and every one of us almost like sons, and, you know, we love him too.
Back here in the front row, Zach.
Zach DraftKingVavel.com. Does facing a number 1 seed add any fire for you guys?
Nick?
They're a great team. I mean, they're a number 1 seed for a reason. They play well and play fast, and they're very athletic and talented. I mean, it adds some motivation to go out and get them and prove what we're about. But we just, you know, have to stick to playing their guys and doing what we do out there on the court.
All right, we'll go back here. Yep, row 3. I didn't see it back there. Sorry about that.
Jim O'Connell, Associated Press. Nick, Coach Crean just said the highlight of his day was you dunking during the drills. He said you couldn't even get the rim when you got here. Is he telling the truth or exaggerating?
He's not telling the truth with that. I've been able to dunk for quite some time, as much as people might not think I can, but it wasn't a Thomas dunk. So, I mean, it was just a little dunk. I mean, I don't know what he was laughing about with all that. But
We'll do one final question, Adam, here in the second row.
Thomas, Adam Zagoria, SMY. You went against the Kentucky bigs. Now you get the North Carolina bigs. Can you just talk a little bit about the challenges of going up against Bryce and Kennedy and those guys, and also your thoughts on the Kentucky bigs, Scal, and you obviously had a very good game against Kentucky.
The Kentucky bigs are great. You know, they're coached by a well-coached coach. You know, their coaches are out there always trying to push them. You know, they have a great team around them. You know, fortunately, we got the job done for them against them, and going against UNC. You know, it feels great to finally go against them. You know, Bryce Johnson is a great athlete. You know, gets out there in transition and carves out space in a low block. So does Meeks. You know, this is a great team with great post players. You know, we just got to stay disciplined and go out there and with the mindset of trying to win the game out there.
Okay, thanks, fellas. We'll have North Carolina players in a few seconds. Okay, so we have Marcus, we have Bryce. We will, once again, if you have a question, please give your name and your outlet before asking your question. We'll start here in front with Zach.
Zach DraftKingVavel.com. Marcus, how do you plan on facing Yogi Ferrell?
Well, that's not going to be my initial matchup. I think it'll be Joel Berry. But I'll spend some time on him throughout the game. Just try to keep him in front of me. You know, he's really explosive and quick, and he can also shoot a really nice pull-up jumper. So, you know, he's a guy that's talented enough to get his over the course of a game. You just got to contest everything and keep him out of the paint because he's so good at getting shots for other guys as well that once he gets in the paint, he causes a lot of problems.
Stay in the front row over here.
Carlos Colazo with the Daily Tar Heel. Marcus, I believe you said you've played against Yogi since 9th grade in high school. What have you seen from him as far as developing as a college player?
Well, he's always been a good point guard, good lead guard, great passer. But, you know, this year and last year to some extent, he's become a really, really good scorer. He's shooting the ball extremely well from deep. His pull-up jump shot's always been kind of his go-to thing. He's getting in the paint and can finish. So he's just expanded his game to become a complete guard, and that's why, you know, he's having an All-American season.
Stay here in the front row over here. Go ahead.
Aaron Cousins with Penn Live. Bryce and Marcus, you can chime in too. Both Indiana and North Carolina have had success with players who left early for the NBA draft, but both of these teams are have a little bit more older guys. What does that mean? Do you wish more players would stick around?
Well, I mean, it all depends on who you are. I mean, I just felt like I wasn't ready. I mean, I don't think I was a one and done type of player or a player that could have left early. So I mean, I stuck around, and I mean, it benefited me in the long run. So I mean, it just depends on who you are as a person. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's your decision. But I decided that I needed to get better, and college was the best place for me to do it.
Marcus, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think it does depend on the individual. Like you said, both teams have had talented guys that have been able to leave early. And this group for both teams has just had people stick around. But, there'll probably be a wave in a couple of years where the talent gets concentrated with these two schools again, and you'll have guys that can make that jump. So it just kind of depends. But it's kind of cool to see really good players stick around, and then you have experienced, talented teams that end up playing each other in tournament like we are.
Okay, we have a couple here in the second row. Let's start in here. Yep.
Josh Newman, Asbury Park Press. For either player, Indiana, Carolina, that's a historically significant matchup. Has Coach Williams or any of the older Carolina guys told you what those matchups were like?
Start with Bryce.
No. I mean, I really haven't heard anything about the rivalry or the matchups between the two schools, so can't really say much on it.
Marcus?
Yeah, we haven't really we haven't talked much about it as a group or, had any specific words about the past matchups. But, you know about Michael Jordan playing his final game against Indiana in 1984 and stuff like that. And they've beaten us the last couple times we've matched up in the tournament, I think. So, I mean, I know stuff like that, but I don't think it pertains a whole lot to tomorrow's game.
Okay, stay in the second row, Adam.
Bryce, here, Adam Zagoria from SMY. Just Thomas Bryant, he's only a freshman, but obviously had a big game against Kentucky. What have you seen from him on film, or did you watch that game, and what challenges does he present?
He's a very good scorer, and he does run the court very well. I mean, he does kind of look a little weird out there sometimes, but, I mean, he's a really good player. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, just watching him on film, it's not the norm, but, I mean, he's a really good player. You just have to challenge him to his weaknesses and not let him get to his strengths. Because I mean, he's like I say, he is a really good player. And he has the potential to probably leave this year if he so chooses to.
Let's go back fifth row. Just raise your hand real quick so we can see. Yep,
Greg
go ahead.
Logan of Newsday, also for Bryce. In that same vein, just in general, what did you see from the front court that Indiana displayed against Kentucky, and the athleticism, the kind of athletic bodies they had, like Troy Williams and Anunoby, in addition to Thomas Bryant?
Well, with those guys in the game and their front line, it's kind of a 4-guard, 1 big lineup for them. I mean, they do have some good size with, like you said, OG Anunoby, and with Troy in there playing the 4. But at the same time, you got to remember those guys still have a guard-like mentality, and you have to be able to. Like for myself, I got to be able to step out on the court and be able to guard those guys. But on the other end, I have to be able to impose my will and be able to do what I need to do in the post.
Okay, any more questions for the North Carolina players? Okay, here in the front.
Have you guys heard anything about the matchup in '81 for the national championship here in Philadelphia between Indiana and North Carolina?
No.
I know Indiana won. I don't know what else we need to hear about that. It's pretty obvious to look up in the Smith Center and you see a 82 banner and a 93 banner. You don't see an 81 banner. So I know it was two of the best coaches of all time coaching against each other, and kind of that started the rivalry in the tournament and whatnot. But that was a long time ago.
We'll stay here in the front row. Go ahead.
Corey Smith, 24/7 Sports. Both of you were on the team in 2012 that played at Indiana. Can you talk about what you remember from that game?
That was a really good team. I mean, that team had a few first-round draft picks on it, and I mean, they were supposed to win the championship that year, weren't they? And, I mean, like I said, that was a really good team. You had guys like Cody Zeller on the team. You had Victor Oladipo, and I mean, those guys are very successful right now in their careers in the NBA. So I mean, they were a very good team. And then for us, we were kind of just thrown in the fire. I mean, after the 2012 season when the guys made it to the Elite Eight, and then we're coming in, and you got to go to Indiana and play in Assembly Hall, and that's a very tough place to play. And I thought it was probably one of the worst places for us to play as a freshman. So I mean, it's weird.
Marcus?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of positives we can take from that game, obviously, but we got a different group, and that was a different group we were playing against. Just understanding, I guess, things that pertain to tomorrow, that they also like to run the ball, and they can score the ball, at the same clip that we can. and they could back then. So I think that's one thing we talked about is how when we played them up there, they ran the ball back at us, and not a lot of teams like to run with us. So that's something we'll look forward to tomorrow is having a team that's not afraid to push the tempo, because I think they average about the same amount of points a game as we do, in the 80s. So that's probably the one takeaway, other than us losing by like 30 that we can have from that game.
Okay, any more questions for the players? Okay, thanks, fellas. Thank you. We'll have Coach Williams in a few minutes, okay? Okay, we have University of North Carolina head coach Roy Williams. Once again, just raise your hand. We'll come bring a microphone to you. Just give us your name, outlet, and your question. We will start way in the back with Michael, and then we'll go to row 4 here.
Thanks, Coach. Michael Luongo, AP Broadcast. You've been to this level so many times at different points of your career. Is it still special for you, and for what reasons?
There's no question it's extremely special, especially when you say you've been through this so many times. It sounds like I'm getting even older than I think I am. But each and every year you start out late September now, early October, big-time dreams and goals for your team, and you try to share them with them. You have short-term goals, you have long-range goals, and those dreams that you have sometimes become more reality the closer you get. And so I get excited about it. I love the NCAA tournament, the pageantry of it, the suspense. You know, when you're a really good team, and we've had some of those in the past, and you go home really early, you know, that's not as much fun. But the NBA, they get 3 out of 5, 5 out of 7. Generally speaking, the best team always wins, but that doesn't happen in our game, and that's okay. You know, because that's what makes it so exciting. And but no, I really do think for this time for me, this is my favorite time of the year, other than those first 3 or 4 weeks when you're just trying to put that team together. And then one of the other thrills is a day like today, we get to come and talk to the media for an hour and a half and only get 50 minutes practice. I mean, Jesus Christ, what else can you need?
We'll go to fourth row here at the end. Go ahead.
Roy, it's Mark Bradley from the Atlanta Journal. Not to dwell on the other side of March, but it's been, 7 years since North Carolina's been to the Final Four. Most places, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
North Carolina, it's the second longest gap in like 50 years. Is that, given
Really?
that you're, yeah, I think so. Given that you're Carolina and given that you're #1 seed and your fans expect a lot,
Yeah.
Does the pressure ratchet up every step further in the tournament you take?
Not really for me, because you know I've been around, as you said, Mark, like I said, a long time, so I'm more used to that part of it. But you can't let other people's expectations and what their thoughts and plans are change the way you think. I put more pressure on me in any 1 minute than anybody else can put on me in a week. But for us, we try every year to start to do the best thing you possibly can. I remember the reason I said that and questioned your 50 years, I was trying to count up here, but I remember I was at Kansas, and all of a sudden in '91 we're in the Final Four. And Coach Smith said, man, it's been a long time, because the last time that I'd been to the Final Four was with him in '82. So we went from '82 to '91, and that was a long time for 2 old guys. I wasn't quite as old then, and my hair was black then, but so was yours. And what we have to do is we just have to do it every year and coach and do the best you can and not get too caught up in what other people are saying. Sometimes you have some breaks that really go your way, whether it's in recruiting or somebody getting hurt or not getting hurt, guys developing. But I can assure you that when we started the year, we weren't thinking about last year. And when I'm up here today, I'm not thinking about last year at all. We're trying to do what we can with this team.
We'll go 2 more in the back, and then we'll come to the front. So start with Dana in the back row.
Dana O'Neill with ESPN. Roy, because of the star power on your team, Joel might fly a little under the radar in terms of appreciation, but how critical has he been for you this season and especially in this game tomorrow?
He has been critical. Joel Berry's been, everybody could make a case for different people, but I'd have to say that he's been our most consistent. Got a hitch in my shoulder this morning. I would have to say that he's been our most consistent player all year long. The star power, Marcus or Bryce, you know, they still had some things to prove themselves, but he had a freshman year where he was hurt, never did really get rolling, you know, growing muscle here, something else there. He worked his tail off in the off season, and I think he's seeing the fruits of that labor right now. But you look down, and it's been a pretty consistent go for him, and hopefully he'll keep that going for a long, long time.
Yep, 5th row. Raise your hand real quick. Okay, go ahead.
Roy, your team relies on the 3-ball less than any other team in the Sweet 16, but your offense is as efficient as it's been since the last time you won the title. Do you think not relying on the 3-ball is a better offensive strategy?
You know, I don't think you can say what is the best. It's the best for my team right now. I definitely thought it was the best. I think in '09 we had great balance. We made a lot of threes. We had Wayne Ellington, Ty Lawson, Danny Green, Tyler Hansbrough could make some of them, but we also had the big rascal inside who fouled out a bunch of people. I think Tyler Hansbrough made more free throws than anybody in the history of college basketball. So the balance is what I've always liked to have. We haven't been able to shoot it as effectively this year as I thought we would. You know, and after about 10 games, all the local guys said, boy, you're shooting so much better this year. And, you know, then they stopped asking that question. But for us, I do want balance. I think having balance is the best way. But the last game we played was one of the things that sort of solidifies what one of the biggest beliefs I have is at the end of the game, I hope that I'm playing against the other team and they don't have all their players on the court because of foul trouble. You don't get teams in foul trouble too much shooting 35 threes in a game. So we played Providence the other day, and Chris Dunn missed 9 minutes in the first half, and Bentel fouled out at the end, so that gave us a better chance. In 2005, we won it, and Sean May fouled out Illinois' entire front line just about. And as I said, in 09, when we won it, Tyler fouled out just about everybody. So I lean towards starting inside first. But I do think that you got to have a great balance. But for me, inside first is best. If you look at teams that win national championship, I think there's more teams that have won national championships with an inside first outlook than there have been with teams that shoot 35 threes, but that's just my opinion.
All right, here in the third row, we got Ed. Yep, go ahead.
Roy, Ed Barkowitz, Daily News, Philadelphia. There's a lot of history in Philadelphia with the NCAA tournament, certainly 81.
Mm-hmm.
What is your recollection of that, and how unusual, can you describe how unusual that day must have been?
Well, you know, my recollection is not of much because I was about the 73rd coach on that staff. There were only 3 of us, but I was third, there's no question. And all the communication was going through Coach Smith and our athletic director, and as it should have. But what I remember is that it was just a normal day trying to get ready to play for a national championship, which is not a normal day, I understand that. But we were trying to get ready, and then all of a sudden the tragedy happened with President Reagan. And we're coming to the game acting like it's just a normal game. We had our pregame meal at the regular time we came over, but yet everybody knew in the back of our mind that, hey, we may not play this. You know, what's the right thing to do? And it was sort of out of our hands, which I was glad. I wanted some people that had greater access to the proper information making those choices. So I do remember us being outside in the hallway, outside the locker room, and all of a sudden, you know, it was 35 years ago, or how long it was either C.M. Newton or Dave Gavitt came and got Coach Smith, and he and Coach Knight, and they went and talked, and Coach came back and says, the president, it looks like it's going to be okay, and we're going to play. And after that moment, other than the moment of silence that I think we had before the game, there was not much about the president at that time. We were just also thankful that he was in good shape.
Yep, back in the fifth row, go ahead.
Greg Logan of Newsday. Roy, can you just describe how Marcus Page has evolved over the course of this season to be playing as well as he is now?
Marcus is a young man who's multi-talented in every phase of his life. I mean, he does so many things on the basketball court. He's academic All-American, his best leader, one of the greatest true student athletes I've ever been around on the basketball court. His freshman year, he came in thinking he was going to back up Kendall Marshall and play with him a little bit, and probably going to get 15 minutes a game, and all of a sudden Kendall was the 13th pick by Phoenix, and so now I hand him the ball and he played 32 minutes a game. And it was a rude awakening for him, but yet he fought and gotten better and better as the season went along. Then as a sophomore, we had thought Reggie Bullock would be coming back, and then P.J. we lost him as well, and now Marcus has got to do so much, so now he's a big-time scorer, averaged 17 a game for us. And during that whole time period, he was probably our best defensive perimeter player, too. Then last year, he played the whole year, and he was hurt. And then this year, he came in with such great expectations. He got off to a great start. Then he gets hurt, misses the first 6 games, and the ball just hadn't gone in the basket for him. But even in that time period when the ball hadn't gone in the basket, he's been fantastic defensively, still continued to be a great leader, and has really helped the team in so many ways. And his reputation, or better term is his respect that the other coaches have for him, has helped him. I mean, remember we play in Virginia Tech, and Marcus goes this way, and Justin Jackson starts going the other way, and both defenders go with Marcus, and we throw the ball to Justin Jackson, he lays it up. And so he does do so many different things for us, and I can't put a value on it just by looking at his points or his steals or his assists or anything, because he's the leader of the team.
Here in second row, Adam, and then Josh.
Hey, Coach, Adam Zagori from SNY. How you doing?
Good, Adam.
Just your thoughts on the new NBA draft rules. There's been a lot of talk about it, how it might help some of your players. And did you have any reaction to Coach Calipari saying he's going to put his whole team, even the walk-ons, into the draft?
I do think it's something that's going to help us. What I've always wanted is something that would really help the young men make a better decision. That's period, the end. And I mean, I'll surprise everybody in here since 2004 or whatever it was. North Carolina's had more guys leave early than anybody in our league. And everybody acts like that old Roy puts handcuffs on them and keeps them around. We've had more guys leave early than anybody in our league. I'm not against guys leaving early, but I'm really in favor of them getting the best information they can possibly get. And I think this will give them a better opportunity if we can get the NBA to be truthful with them, and if we can get the kids, the families, their circle to believe the NBA as opposed to the agents. And, you know, because all of us have had guys say, well, you're going to be a first-round choice. And that's not always true with the information they're getting. So I love that part of it. I've been involved just a little bit with some discussions with the NBA people, and I think that they have the same goal in mind as we do, is allow them to make proper decisions and allow the NBA to make proper decisions. About Cal, you know, Cal's funny. Cal's a buddy of mine, Jimmy Christmas, but he's out in left field sometimes. And, get ready. He may say something else this afternoon. It's going to shock everybody, you know, but he's entitled to a great opinion, and I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. You know, people say, well, he only recruits a certain guys. Well, he recruits the same guys I do. He just gets them, you know, that kind of thing. But I haven't seen all the statements. I've had people say some things just like you did right there. But, I would really start worrying myself. I will really start getting worried if John applies for the draft himself. Okay, so as long as he doesn't do that, I'm okay. Mike was. I've seen both those guys play. They did. We're safe.
Stay in the second row, Josh.
Josh Newman, Asbury Park Press. Going back to the Indiana-Carolina thing, you know, obviously it's a historically significant matchup given 1981, given 1984. Is it at all important to you that your current players know the history and have a healthy respect for the history?
You know, maybe it is, but I don't know. I haven't shared with them any of those things. I mean, my guys, they don't, 10 years ago, my guys thought Michael Jordan invented the game. Now they don't even know who Michael Jordan is. You know, if it went for the Haynes commercials, and I'm going to call him and leave him a message, tell him I said that today. But kids are in today's times. If I were to talk to them about 81 and 84, guys, I think I may have a coach. No, I have a coach that wasn't even born then. You know, I don't know that my guys understand that, and it's. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not talking about that to them. I'm talking about this team, this year, how they've played, how they've gotten better, how they need to get better. But, the historical significance of game comes more for us, more for you guys, and more for our readers. It doesn't come a lot for the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Now, some kids are more serious about it than others, but, if I tell them I had black hair in 1981, they think it's when the rocks cooled. So I don't deal with that very much. And it could be wrong, but that's the way I'm dealing with it.
We'll go way in the back at the end there. Yep, go ahead.
Hey, Roy, Mark Armstrong, ABC 11. We were asking players and coaches about superstitions, and they all pointed at you as the guy in that department. Can you shine any light on some of the things you need to do on game day or otherwise?
You know, it's vastly overrated, okay, but if it's okay, I'm going to try to do everything I can, what I'm responsible for. You know, there's a chance that I might wear the same suit that I wore against the team that when we beat them. If they beat us, I've put it out for the mailman to see if he can give it to somebody. I do have a routine that I go through a lot. But, guys, if you wanted all my superstitions, hell, I ain't even going to get to go to practice, so I've got a few of them. But I have yet to see any of those superstitions win a game, but it certainly makes me pass the time and make me feel like I'm doing the best I can do.
Here in the front with Zach.
Zach Drapkin, Vavel.com. Marcus touched on this a little bit earlier. What's your plan for matchups in the defensive backcourt and guarding Yogi Ferrell?
I haven't talked about it yet. We'll give them the matchups when I write the names up in the locker room for the game. We're coaching, so everybody on the perimeter knows they're going to have to guard Yogi, know they're going to have to guard Troy. Find out as much as you can about those guys, but we'll make the matchups in the locker room before the game.
We'll go back to Michael.
I was going to ask, what's the key change or challenge against them, either defending them or against what you have to do against them offensively when you look at Indiana?
Well, a little bit of both, which is good for their team, because Tom's done a great job. They're effective both ends of the court. You have to cover the three-point shot. They make 9.8 per game. I think we make less than 5. We've got to get out and try to cut their percentage down. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. Yogi gives them so much threat with his penetration and pitching that they're going to get some threes. Troy attacks the basket as well. Almost everybody on their team shoots three. I mean, Thomas Bryant, I think, shot 14 of them himself. So we have to do that. So we're worried about their offense, but defensively, we know they do a good job of walling the guy inside. They trap when they want to. They jam when they want to. So it's a two-pronged thing. But you think about it this way: if you get to the Sweet 16, the other team's pretty doggone good. So you can't just say, guys, if we do this, they can't beat us. That doesn't happen at this level. So we've got to try to play a complete game. But we need to get some of our shots to fall in and need to hopefully get them to shoot a less percentage than they normally do.
We'll do last question over here. Go ahead, first row.
Aaron Cousins with Penn Live. Roy, you were just talking about how you had a lot of players leave early, or more players than anybody in the ACC leave early. What does it mean to you that you have a team with some veterans, and do you think maybe it's good for the sport that both you and Indiana have some seniors?
Well, I can't speak for Tom's guys, but, there's nobody beating the door down for our guys to go to the NBA draft. I mean, it's if you want to go to the prom, somebody else has got to want to go with you. And our guys are very good basketball players who I think have a chance to play basketball for a living. But last year there was nobody on my team that the NBA or the evaluation people say we're going to be a lottery pick. So good news and bad news. Some coaches, they don't like it when all their guys come back. I like it. Mine came back this year because I like coaching them. They're good kids, and someone like Bryce, I think, has gotten better and better and better. Everybody would take talent. I mean, it's like I said, the question down here. I recruit the same guys Cal recruits, and Mike, and those guys have gotten more of the one and dones the last 2 or 3 years. I recruit those same guys. I would like a mix of a couple of guys that are the best players. I don't care who you are, how ugly you are, whatever, you're the best player. But then I'd like some of those guys that stay around that I can even develop a better relationship with. But for us, everybody wants talent. Experience would be second. But I've said this, what you really want is you really want experienced talent. In 2009, we had Tyler Hansbrough, Wayne Ellington, Ty Lawson, and Danny Green. Those guys came back. All of those guys could have left. Now, that was a lot of fun that time.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.